Thank you, Cameron Daddo, for your rendition of our theme, and welcome to episode 28 of the Champagne Comedy Podcast, where we talk about the best Australian comedy show of the 90s ever made, The Late Show, and other D-Generation comedy tidbits. My name is Matt, and joining this podcast today is Alison, Daniel, Kim and Prue. And we have a very special guest reviewer, the Bistro Project's Shannon Marinko.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me and letting me pollute your earnest fandom with my crass commercialness.
Oh, we love it.
I've got something to plug. That's the only reason I'm here. No, it's not. I love what you do. I love your work. This is a great thrill for me. I'm very happy to be here.
Do you know what? Anyone who comes in costume, which you have done tonight, definitely deserves their place on the panel.
Thank you.
This is the only time where I wish that this podcast was visual, because do you want to describe what you were wearing on the webcam as soon as we hopped on?
Well, I'll tell you, maybe I'll leave it for a few weeks, because this is my Halloween costume this year.
Oh.
So I may, I'll post something to the Champagne Comedy Facebook page on Halloween.
Okay.
We'll see what I rolled up in today.
Oh, there we go. There's some sizzle.
Well, it's going to be well worth the wait, people.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's build it up unreasonably.
Yes, everyone. He's wearing Bart Simpson underpants and nothing else.
No, is that it involves wigs.
Speaking of shoddy stuff, you want to talk about... Sorry, I'm bagging out something which is actually higher quality than our podcast, because I've already had to listen to it. Do you want to introduce what I'm about to play to you?
This press release in front of me that I totally didn't write says that apparently before the Bistro Project was a television program that nobody watched, it was actually a radio program that no one listened to. Twist. And somebody, definitely not me, has found these very old and totally real audio tapes. And now they're going to air every week for 6 weeks, starting 2 weeks ago. And it's called the Bistro Project's Radio Free Cinema. And it's a purely comedic series. It's all sketches, sort of set within the broader world of film. And it features a Grand Budapest Hotel style lineup of Australian comedy talent plus me. And we've had 2 episodes already, and there's 4 more to go. It's on the Apple Music, it's on the Spotify. If you go to bizarroproject.com/radio free cinema, you'll find it all there. So let's have a listen to the trailer.
It was the TV show about movies that changed the way we saw TV shows about movies.
Hello and welcome to the Bistro Project and our guide to cinema.
But what most people didn't know was the TV show they weren't watching was also a radio show they weren't listening to.
Hello and welcome to the Bistro Project's Radio Free Cinema. A big shout out to the good people of the Silver Screen Drive-In, who are currently trying to listen to a Star Trek double feature on the same frequency we are currently broadcasting on.
Now, the audio tapes that many believed and hoped were lost forever have been uncovered, digitized and restored, and are ready to be heard again for the first time.
What do we have coming up on the show?
We uncover the worldwide scam behind aspect ratios and how it's all a plot by Hollywood to push their elitist pro-rectangle agenda.
This October, over 6 thrilling episodes, the Bistro Project's Radio Free Cinema, featuring interviews with the film industry's most influential figures.
Is it true you slept on Margot Robbie's couch?
I did, although I obviously had to stop when she came home and called the police.
But aren't all Australian films just grimy dramas about drug addicts?
And that's the exact type of ignorance we've been trying to fight at Coked Up Productions.
Exclusive trailers for the most exciting upcoming releases.
You didn't get the annulment?
It turns out I love you.
What?
And every aspect of movie making explored from every corner of the globe.
I've come to the Isle of Glyph in the middle of the Baltic Sea. This was the location chosen for the world's most prestigious accent and voice coaching academy, timbre heard.
Plus original songs, exciting competitions, and exclusive access to the biggest film premieres.
Well, the film has finished and it sounded great. I can promise you, had anyone been unable to get inside the theatre and been forced to spend the last 90 minutes standing out in the foyer, well, they would have heard a lot of laughter and applause coming through the doors.
Coming soon, the TV show about movies is now a radio show released as a podcast. The Basura Project's Radio Free Cinema, a 6-part series beginning October 5.
I probably should have rewritten that press release. I didn't know Pete was going to do it word for word. Oh, well.
Shannon, just your history of being a Late Show fan. Were you watching this live every week, or did you record it, or did you just watch it occasionally, or were you?
Oh, well, I mean, compared to sort of yourselves and a lot of your listeners, I reckon, I'm probably comparatively a bit of a Johnny-come-lately to the Late Show. I reckon I would have seen less than 5 episodes live of season 1. Season 1 did not register for me for whatever reason. I don't know. But season 2, 1993, I was in year 12. I was all over it. Yeah, it was. I remember regularly watching, because I was one of those students who always did the homework at the very last minute before Monday, watching the repeat on Sunday nights. And it was Sunday nights from the week before, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Sandwich in between Compass and the Tracy Ullman Show.
So I remember watching the Sunday nights quite a lot. But season one, not at all. I very rarely caught it. But from season 2 onwards, I've been a massive fan. It's been a massive influence on, I hesitate to say career, because that would imply employment of some kind, and that's been quite foreign to me. But a massive influence, definitely. To
be fair, most of the Basura Project has been charity work, really.
You should see how much debt I went into for that fucking show, especially the community TV show. But yes.
Yes.
And here's a novelty one. It's such a cool thing to get this requested and to put it together. Listener Leonard wants to hear good old competition further guy and take on Melbourne, or I'm not from Melbourne, I'm not from Victoria, Franco Cozzo. Yeah, well, he kind of wanted to hear the two of them have a one-on-one together. So this is the result.
Grandsire. I don't know. Where? I think is in Brunswick and Footscray. Franco Cozzo. Have the pleasure to present to you Il Modernissimo. What do you think they're going on competition further? Bedroom suites, dining room, and wonderful lounge. Why don't you come for yourself and have a look at this magnifico? He going on competition further? Il Modernissimo. Only can found from Franco Cozzo.
I'm sorry.
Seriously, you put a drum beat under that and you could release that as like a 12-inch. That will bring the house down. That's fantastic.
The mashup we didn't know we needed.
Yeah. No, I knew I needed that.
Also, and if you were a fan or listening to season 1 of the Champagne Comedy Podcast, we were having our Piss Week prize pack, which we just kept adding on more and more to it. And one of the big items that were on there that we always claimed, which is the best part of the whole package, was any questions for Ben DVD, an unopened one. And we claimed that it was having, gold, like this is the moment, because it was a discontinued line. Or I saw last week the DVD itself back in stock at the JB Hi-Fi shelf for
like a lousy $5.
So for your stocking fillers. So there you go. So I do apologise. I think it was to Daniel Hopmans. That item is now worth
like a lousy $5.
Are you sure he didn't try and return it and actually put that on the shelf?
It's neither here nor there, but there is another podcast that's out there that covers Hey It's Saturday, which is Hey It's the podcast, and it's a fantastic podcast to have a listen to. which they review episodes of Hey Hey. Now, while we had the Hey Hey It's 50 Years on recently, Jane Kennedy featured on it, talking about her time. Oh. Yeah, when she appeared as dressed up as Demis Roussos back in 1979.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just want to point out this little snippet here, which while the DGen Working Dog team did pop up on Hey Hey over the various years, this one, which I was going to save until the very final episode, but it's when Rob actually appeared on Hey Hey on Red Faces.
From the very popular Late Show on Channel 2, Rob Sitch.
Channel 2?
I'm just not stepping on your applause, Rob.
So it is Channel 9 next year, Rob.
Now it's nice.
I wanted to do this for a while.
It's nice to have you in. Is the fact that you've got 2 gigs on in the one night going to stress you out?
No. I'm perfectly relaxed for later on tonight.
Excellent.
In a few hours.
And I can't help notice you have something holding up his video of The Late Show, the highlights of The Late Show. It's a tape that goes out for $24.95 and it's available now. And it features all the best bits of The Late Show. 5 minutes in all. No, how long? Is it 60?
About 3.5.
Daryl.
3.5 minutes or hours.
It's 90 minutes, Daryl. It's moderate value.
Oh, Daryl, just drive by.
But that was leading up into a few hours later on. That's when they did the final episode of The Late Show. Not really knowing that would be the final episode.
Psst, they recorded Hey Hey on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, don't ruin the illusion. Oh.
So, yeah, well, he was wearing his skivvy, so it didn't match up with that night.
But when is he not, though? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But the thing you can't see in that clip is that the guy sitting in between Rob in his skivvy and Red Simons is Tim Capello, who was in The Lost Boys. And like,
who in The Lost Boys?
Like, the thing he's wearing, it looked like some sort of a weird sort of a topless leather kind of get-up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not the saxophone player,
well,
is he?
I think it is.
Oh, I've got to look that up right now. Oh my God.
I don't know the Lost Boys that intimately, but yeah, it just looked so out there, seeing him sitting in between 2 relatively normal gentlemen.
If you do want to see the clip, we do have it kind of hosted on the Champagne Comedy Podcast Facebook group page, which is set to private. So
this is good sizzle for the podcast Facebook group, though.
It's interactive. It's all synergy.
Yes,
it's
traction cut through, you name it. So if you look up Champagne Comedy Podcast Facebook group, answer the 3 shoddy questions on there, and then you're pretty much a shoe-in. It's only the questions are up there just to keep out the spam.
I'm going a bit old school. I've put up the Red Faces clip on my phone so I can hold it up to the camera. Where is the camera?
That is the saxophone guy. Oh my word. What is he doing on Hey It's Saturday? That is bizarre. That's worlds colliding.
Especially with Red in his suit and tie, and Rob Sitch going all skivvies are back, and
that's like his costume in the film. That's
See, I don't think you would be able to notice him unless he was wearing what he was wearing in The Lost Boys.
That's phenomenal. My mind is blown about that. That's amazing. That's fantastic.
I've got the paper.
Daniel G and his program guide.
Up against season 2, episode 8. On Channel 7, we've got the film Over the Top. Says Ross Warnicki. It's a sentimental beefcake movie made in 1987 with Sly Stallone as an arm wrestler come truckie, getting to know his teenage son, played by David Mendenhall, after years away from the family. Over on Channel 9, Hey Hey It's Saturday included special guests Nathan Cavallari and Jo Beth Taylor, as well as performances by Southern Sons, Rob guest by satellite at the Theatre Royal for Phantom of the Opera. Then after that at 8:30 we've got the cricket. England v Australia delayed coverage of the first session of the third day's play in the 4th test. Now, if it had been rained out, we would have seen the movie She-Devil starring Roseanne Barr and Meryl Streep?
Oh, there's a combination. Meryl Streep and Roseanne Barr. Serial. That's amazing.
Haven't they had different trajectories? Over on Channel 10, we've got another BL Striker telling movie. BL Striker was a series of telemovies sort of in the style of Columbo. It was sort of like an intermittent series, but like movie-length episodes, starring Burt Reynolds as the titular character. So it's season 2, episode 8, titled Winner Takes All. Warnicky just says that Private Eye Striker gets involved in gridiron and murder. I assume in that order. Over on SBS, the 9:30 movie is Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow. Says Warnicky, this raunchy 1963 Italian trilogy directed by Vittorio De Sica and starring Sophia Loren and Marcello Mastroianni won the Oscar for Best Foreign Film. Heaven knows why.
Oh.
Superbly comic, none of the 3 stories are very funny.
Oh, God, Warnicky.
And last of all, on the ABC, the program before The Late Show was The Birds of a Feather, season 2 episode.
Sonic Trigger, yeah.
It's season 2, episode 5, titled Keep Off the Grass. That's grass as in grassing on someone. Because Sharon and Tracy...
Of course it's called Keep Off the Grass.
Because Sharon and Tracy see someone they know commit a crime. And Doreen, she's still a bit of a dirty cow.
Yeah, she's not eating any grass.
Yeah.
Late Show at 10 o'clock, Warnicky just listed as being satire and sketch comedy from Melbourne's DGen. And then after The Late Show at 11 o'clock is a movie loosely based on Phantom of the Opera. Now, it turns out that the BBC showed Phantom of the Opera from, I don't have it listed here, but it was 1940-something. They showed that on the Friday night. And late on this Saturday night, they're showing a movie called Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh, yes.
I've seen this film, yes.
So
this is a cult classic.
Now, yes. Now, when Shannon, when somebody says something is a cult classic, does that bristle you? Because anytime I hear somebody saying cult classic, I just think of that as being like a euphemism for not very good, not very popular, flop.
Yes, not well received. Yes, when first released, but I was in it, so now it's a cult classic. I see. Yeah, I'm with you part of the way on that argument because yes, I see a lot of interviews with they do like a 20th, 30th, 40th anniversary of whatever film has been released, and it's become a cult classic on DVD. No, piss off. No, absolutely not. Most of these people who are being interviewed, absolutely not. But Phantom of the Paradise definitely is a cult classic, no question. Directed by Brian De Palma with songs by Paul Williams.
Love it.
It's a cracker. It's it's a mess. It's a clusterfuck of just of stuff. But it's great. And I would definitely call that cult movie.
It's meant to be a satire on the music industry, basically, isn't it? And it sort of doesn't quite work out, as you say.
You're much more diplomatic about it than me. Yeah.
It's apparently based on Phantom of the Opera and sort of loosely based on a few other stories as well. Both Shannon and Alison have sort of covered off on most of the points there. Yeah, it's a rock music remake and stars Paul Williams. Ross Warnicky says that it's not for all tastes, but has appeal as a satire on the rock industry. And basically that and the proper Phantom of the Opera last night are being played on TV because the musical opens in Sydney the night of this airing, in fact.
With Rob Guest.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Phantom mania going on. So after Phantom of the Paradise, you can fall asleep to the Australia Television International News. And if you're still awake at 1 o'clock, you can watch Rage featuring music videos from U2 who have released...
That'll send you to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, they've just released, or are about to release, I think, Zooropa.
Oh, shit, yeah, that'll definitely send you to sleep.
So, yeah, very packed TV guide then. Let's get into the episode proper.
Cool. Thank you very much, Daniel. All right, let's get into it with reviewing Season 2, Episode 8 of The Late Show, broadcast Saturday, July 24th, 1993.
We wish to advise that the following edition of The Late Show is rated M and contains adult humour.
We apologise for that previous announcement, but The Late Show contains absolutely no adult humour. See? There they go again.
Got to get a fart joke in.
Oh, all right. So we've got sharp-edged satire. Okay, here we go. Flimsy anecdotal connection to this episode, number 1. I've got a few to get through, okay? So I was at film school in 1997, and myself and a couple of friends made a film, funnily enough, and because we were, and we still are, film school dreamer types, we wanted to put a sort of a film production logo thing at the end of the film we made, which was shot on like SVHS. That was like high end for film school in 1997. So does anyone, I'm speaking to the right crowd here, does everyone remember the Stephen J. Cannell production company logo?
Yeah.
Stephen J. Cannell. Yeah, you probably remember the music at the very least. It's a live action shot thing.
Is it Stephen himself in the vanity couch?
Yes, it is Stephen, and he's got a beard, and he's sitting at his desk at a typewriter, and he's typing away, and the camera sort of comes around him, and then he rips out the page of the typewriter, and the page sort of floats down, and it makes the logo. He produced some big 80s shows. He did like A-Team, Greatest American Hero. He did Riptide. Remember Riptide? I loved Riptide. Yeah. I used to genuinely love that show. That was fantastic. And Hunter. I used to love Hunter. So I remember that. We thought that'd be a fun thing to do for our fake logo. But there were 3 of us in the group. Yes. So we took that music and we thought we'd do our version of it. That was our production company logo in 1997. That's from my SVHS film school film. Shit, how many years ago is that now? God almighty, 25, God, 24.
And that was directly inspired by the Late Show sketch.
That certainly was. That part of it, yes, absolutely.
That's fantastic. You're not the only type of person who will do such a thing. You should see what Kim and her friend are.
Yes, so my friend Kaneo and I went around and, we did a number of things. One of them was just reciting the opening sketch of Mick and Tony and just recording it for our own benefit downstairs with the door closed because it was embarrassing if anyone else in the house heard. We also did our own street interviews and asked people at the Athletics Carnival back in 1993 whether they watched The Late Show. And if they didn't, then we just looked down on them and just said, no, no good. Some of them watched Full Frontal and it was just like, no.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. But there was some other, you'd go around and you'd ask people, because we didn't do any of the sports at the Athletic Carnival, so we asked them if they watched The Late Show, and then all of a sudden people would say quotes like, like a tiger, and you just knew that this was the DJ.
They were your people.
Really
they were your people.
That's right.
After the opening titles, we got the opening remarks with our regulars Tony and Mick on stage, claiming that The Late Show is the best program ever. Well, duh. But mainly because, ever since the early episodes of Hooperman. Anyway, that goes on for a while. It's a 1 minute theme of John Ritter's police drama, I guess. I've never really heard or spoken about that one before.
Would that have been an obscure reference even in 93?
Oh, yeah. John Ritter.
Well, that's not the first time that Tony has mentioned John Ritter before, because wasn't it in season 1 where if they had other movies on at the same time, just to show that they're all live, and they flicked over I think it was Channel 9 or whatever, or Channel 7, it was a John Ritter film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. See, that's obscure. But yeah, as they were doing that, they got interrupted by a whole bunch of people doing the whole Mick Malloy jumping around in their underwear. But no Bart Simpson jocks, though.
No, lots of boxer shorts.
They're really running this moment into the ground, aren't they? Yeah.
See, last episode they had a person invade the stage for real.
Yeah.
And that was inevitable, and I suppose it'd be inevitable that they would try and take it to even sillier extremes. As we'll see.
Yeah.
Like a reply.
But after very convincing technical difficulties...
Don't you love to play the air trumpet to this?
Good old GP, got him. Why did I have to soundbite, Daniel? You could have just easily done that. Brilliant.
It's like Tony Martin doing the tuba to the mother and son thing. Although I've got to say that's about 40 interminable seconds of opening titles that get played there.
Yeah, it's a bit long.
Well, they've got to make it seem real, though, don't they?
Yeah,
true. Because what happens next?
We arrive at the set of GP, and there's Tony Llewellyn-Jones, one of the actors in GP, talking to someone. They're having a conversation, and then suddenly we have the stampede of the men in the underpants again.
Very attractive men in underpants. Can we just say?
Oh, some twig and berries right there, as well as after another technical difficulty, those twig and berries go on the standby program with Gabriel Gattei, What's Cooking.
More guys in underpants around a very annoyed-looking Gabriel Gattei.
Sacre bleu. Yeah.
This is a lot of work to go to for Mick and Tony not to do 2-3 minutes of stand up. Why do you think they chose to do this? It's a lot of work, and they played the whole bloody GP opening. It's like, were they really running short this episode? It's like, I mean,
right of reply, like the episode before when the guy crashes their show.
Yeah.
You can sort of see the horror on their face. Like, I think it's just to pull back a bit of power, claim it as their own a bit.
Yeah.
It just feels like, let's just go to town on this issue and have the final word.
They're claiming it back, but they're also trying to kill it off, and they kill it off again in a subsequent episode. But they really want to just drive it into the ground so that they can move on.
And all that time wasted on the GP theme tune is also covered for the excellent staging work for when we do come back to the studio.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The set's on fire. Everything's in tatters. It's great. I love this. It's a great piece of work, this sequence.
And now it's over to the news desk with Tommy G.
I'm just going to skip all those little bullet point intros, those little story headlines, right? Because there wasn't that
come
really...
on, even the footage of John Major looking into his little red suitcase and the joke being, crisis for John Major, his wife forgets to pack his lunch.
Yeah, so you can say it better than I can. Don't forget their Kentucky bus.
Yeah, like a very light joke being made out of some sort of piece of actuality of a bus getting attacked. Yeah, I assume that must have been in Bali.
I think that Japanese bodybuilders stock footage, seriously, that is so specific. I thought they only had access to not a lot of stock footage every week. That is so specific. Where the hell did he find that? That's amazing.
Yeah, that's the selection process for the next Japanese Prime Minister is this bodybuilding competition.
Oh, I think it's a great gag. But where did he get that footage? That's just amazing. Yeah, that's incredible.
But that nerdy story in regards to Bill Clinton choosing the head of FBI, and after that description throws to TV's Columbo, you got to admit that was a quick rapid fire joke. And
that's nice.
Did anyone know which episode that is from? I don't.
Oh, Kim, I thought you were going to blow our heads off. Oh my God, that would have been really impressive.
That would have been extreme
pedantry. Extreme pedantry, yes. About 1 second, but I'm sure there are some diehard fans that would know.
Yes, right in.
Yeah, right in and don't tell us.
I was too distracted by President Clinton using the phrase "ramrod straight." A ramrod straight and ferocious crusader against the mob.
Yeah, and then comes that awful story of the whole "don't ask, don't tell" policy for the
which was revealed and then went into law early in 1994 and then got repealed just over 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
You can see that in the Navy joke coming a mile off, too.
Yeah.
It's like Army, Air Force, and say, oh, I wonder what's coming.
But this one I'm mainly here for, and that is the classic, fantastic John Hewson challenging the Prime Minister.
Got my pencil out.
This is like top 3 Rob impressions for me. I think this is I just love this. I think it's so desperately pathetic. Just when Tommy calls him on, no one thinks you're strong or whatever, and the pauses he takes are really long.
Well, I am.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard to do, especially on live TV. The pause that long, and it works.
It's
so
the
good.
Rob Sitch Impressions version of the notes he doesn't play.
Yeah.
It's not
I
the
can do
notes
that
he
at
plays,
home,
it's the notes he doesn't play.
Yeah. Oh, I think this is gangbusters, this one. And fop. If you had to write If you had to write a word that describes a wet newspaper fight, I think "fop" is the absolute perfect word. No, I love it, and I challenge the Prime Minister. I remember saying that quite a lot in Year 12. I challenge you. Yeah.
Late show fan code, like it's like the Masonic handshake.
That's right.
Gonna go fop. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is.
And then I take a chocolate royal and I go.
Fop. Yeah, this one's brilliant. I love it.
The quality of the performance in this and the script writing is so good that you don't even notice that it looks like the makeup's falling off his face because it looks like the chin is literally taped on and then cut.
You can definitely see the
It is so bad. It is so bad, and I don't care about any of that because I'm too busy laughing at the fop and the chocolate royal and all that.
Yep.
And yet, pretty much every time that there's a leadership spill, and gee, don't there seem to be a fair few of those recently? This meme, I challenge the Prime Minister, always comes out online.
Yeah.
After that, there was that little quick story, mainly visual one, about the 2 British girls jailed in Thailand, kind of like a early Chappelle Corby, I guess, in a way. But it was heroin instead of pot. There was that product recall, which is fantastic. Now, this was in 1993, so please remember this. So,
Do they even sell Ruffles nowadays?
I don't think so.
No more Ruffles.
Ruffles are gone.
But this...
Ballet.
It's violated Ruffles. But it's, the product recall of potato chips due to shards of light bulb glass. And this is where Tommy G shined.
We've got some of the affected packets here. They're Ruffles plain, salt and vinegar, and new ground glass variety there. Obviously, light chips.
Slow burn on that joke there.
And somebody had to mock up a Ruffles a packet with a light shiny insider and put ground glass over the actual packet and all that for that shitty joke.
I tell you what, Alf Camilleri was very busy this episode. There are a lot of very specific props going on, which I guess we'll get to later on. But yeah, that was the first of many. Keep an eye on the props, everybody. Yes.
And then you've got the mice plague in South Australia and Victoria, and so the farmers are desperate. They use Ruffles. That deserves a
much better joke.
Great callback. Yeah, great callback.
Is it a callback if it's one joke immediately after the other joke? Is that?
Let's say yes.
Yeah.
With nothing in between?
It's the snowball effect.
Yes. Snowball. That's good.
I might skip this one because that's quite tasteless, really. The German soldier one. in Somalia.
It's an excuse to play some Nazi rally footage that I think we've seen on the show previously.
Yeah.
And like you can all make the joke connection in your heads already, those who haven't seen it, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, simply German soldiers, Somalia, peacekeeping. That's it.
Yeah.
Nazi footage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think they were struggling for material this episode. I think, we'll get to it as we go through, but there's some really thin stuff. It's like, why on earth did you put this on the air? It's shit. You must have been struggling.
Well, here's the thing. Now, the next bit, which is coming up, is Warwick and Joanne Kappa back together for Penthouse. So, yeah. Now, because it's Rob as Warwick Kappa. Now, which one was... Warwick, yeah.
Warwick.
Here's a snippet of them explaining their photo shoot.
This is of us having a pash.
And this is of us drinking champagne.
And this is of us having sex. Oh, this is not a good one. We've got our clothes on.
And what's happening here is that Joanne is fitting me for a new pair of shorts.
But the thing
that's not all she's doing in that photo.
the thing is, I think Rob was doing this one wrong because Warwick Kappa spoke quickly, but I think maybe back then he wasn't as quick, or he was quite reserved.
I think he was just trying to make out that he was slow, just generally in the other way.
I now feel slow.
I think the funniest thing about this is the actual quote from the article. Joanne, there are a lot of horrible things happening in the world, and we are showing love. So I think what we have done is fine. Love is beautiful, adds Warwick 29. 29! My gosh.
Yeah.
That's profound for a 29-year-old.
The comedy writes itself. The comedy really does write itself.
Yeah, so the joke after that is his IQ, not his age.
Yeah. Damn.
That dressing gown on Rob is getting very short as well. That's it's right up there. He's leaning very far back, and it's like almost. Yeah.
And the whole Rob and Jane thing is probably happening around this time, so that could be their genuine clothes.
Whoa! It's also
bombshell.
A bit...
Bombshell.
Do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking this is like the pilot for Bob and Blanche when they were in their dressing gowns.
Oh my god! Maybe this was the inspiration for that.
This is the
I
shame.
imagine so.
It's now a porn podcast.
Well, if you look up some of those Warwick Joanne Kappa pictures are on the interwebs. If you look them up, they're not, like fully explicit, but they're very, that's suggestive, let's say. Yeah, it's they're not shy, that's for sure.
You get to see Warwick's bum.
Well, yeah, there we go.
How long did their relationship last? Because they'd already broken up and then they got back together and they'd done this photo shoot. I'm sure not just for the money, right? And how long did their relationship last afterwards? Does anyone know?
Does anyone care?
Not really, but I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah, whatever happened to Joanne? Yeah, I mean, Warwick Kappa's still around, is still, trying to be relevant. But Joanne, what happened to Joanne? Yeah, that's a good question.
Write in and tell us.
Yes, right. Write in and tell us.
Send an actual letter.
Yes, PO Box 9994.
Yeah. Richmond, Victoria.
Nice.
We have a commercial.
Rosella introduces Chicken Tonight simmer sauces, and suddenly everybody's saying,
I feel like chicken tonight, like chicken tonight.
Mom, can we have chicken tonight tomorrow?
Chicken tonight.
Well, that was the actual teaser from the original commercial.
Yeah, one of those ads that just sticks in your brain decades later.
Well, here's the parody.
Mom, can we have chicken tonight tomorrow?
That kid is fair dinkum pitch perfect. The tomorrow, the piss weak kid. I didn't see this coming when I first saw it. It's like, I reckon this still holds up. I think this is so good, this
Yeah.
parody, because it's like, where does dickhead come from? It's so good. This is really good. I really like it.
Like they didn't have to do much to take the piss out of the real ad, really, because it was all about dancing like a chicken and looking like a dickhead.
I hope when one of them came up with this concept, I think we should call it Dickhead Tonight, that they all just high-fived and had the afternoon. This is so legendary. And then all they needed to do was just practice the most ridiculous fucking chicken wing dance that they can come up with. And when it's finished and it comes back to Tony Martin and he's gone, the businessman, and I'm like, yes, Tony, because that was award-winning performance. Like that.
That and Mick, the construction worker Mick was also classic. That was the one that we all.
Yeah, I'm very fond of. I'm very fond of Jude's sarcastic face as the cleaner with the businessman, just sort of going to that kind of shaking of the head that she does. It's great.
Yeah.
My only disappointment is that Santo and Tom seem to be the odd ones out in this whole thing. I couldn't spot them anywhere at all.
Yeah.
I was going to say that Chicken Tonight was a centerpiece in a lot of low-budget family meals in the 90s for my family. The amount of times I had chicken drumsticks from the Coles Deli from Mum's work and
slathered in chicken tonight.
Apricot chicken. I tried every single flavour. So
well, that's because you kept asking you to have it the next day.
I would get your sodium level checked.
It's song parody time, and it is Peter Andre with "It's a Repetitious Song Girl" as Jason Stevens as Peter.
It's a repetitious song, girl, that goes on and on, girl. And even though it's been a hit, give me some kind of sign if you think I should quit.
Me being where I'm located on the Gold Coast, Peter Andre is royalty.
I was just going to say, out of all the songs that they parody, this is probably one of the ones that they just keep playing on the radio, isn't it?
It's because he grew up on the Goldie. He went to a couple of people that I work with actually went to high school with him. In fact, I tried to use that connection to try and reach out to him to get a grab. And no response. Apparently, we're not good enough for him.
Oh, Alison should have tried. Yeah, Alison, you're closer to him.
Does he? I was going to say, does he still live in the UK? Because for a time he was married to Katie Price, aka Jordan, the glamour model. And does he still live in this country? I have no idea because I haven't heard anything about Peter Andre for years.
Well, he does a lot of stuff on YouTube now and Instagram. So,
shit.
Okay. So he's living in a 1-bedroom sort of apartment, probably in the same area of London that I live in because it's affordable.
I really did try to reach out to him, and I got the Cameron daddoed. So just complete silence.
You've been daddoed.
I got daddoed. Yay! All right.
I reckon this parody should be better than it is. Well, I think the parody is pretty good. But
it's
I
a
think
repetitious parody, girl, you know? It goes on and on and on, unfortunately. I reckon they should have just done like one chorus, one verse, and then got out of there, I think.
Yeah, it's like they didn't have enough time to shoot it or something. I mean, it's like they threw it together really fast and they had like one take of everything. And then they got back because there's like dance moves that are just not in sync. Like Jace is doing something and Jane and the other girl are doing something totally different. It's like they didn't have any choice but to use whatever footage they got and to just put it in. It's
including
strange,
a brief shot of Alf Camilleri. You see,
Alf was busy this episode. I'm telling you, Alf was everywhere this episode. Yeah.
Looking very unimpressed under that start as well.
Yes.
It's so strange because the shots are too tight. So there's like a whole bunch of them at some lifesaving club down in Elstonwickle. I don't know where it is, but it's just a shot.
It was an ambitious attempt at making Winching look like the Gold Coast, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's so much brick wall and like daggy, beach bench that it just doesn't. Maybe waves and some sand. I don't know. It just, I don't know. I hated it.
Oh my God, Ruth,
You actually hate it?
strong words.
Oh, wow.
Well, what about Jason's washboard or drawn on abs?
I think it's weak, but you hated it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Well, what about hang on? What about the bit where the saxophonist tries to run him down and he has to run away? That's kind of fun, isn't it? And then he goes, "Quit!" like this. That's quite good, isn't it? Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
No, Bruce had it. Oh my God. Well, flimsy anecdotal connection to this episode number 2. Here we go. Watching this, I got a feeling, I got a bit of an inkling that I knew where this was shot. So I did a quick drive-by. It was in my radius, and I took some photos. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
I reckon it's Como Park, and for Melburnians, it's sort of where Alexandra Avenue, which runs alongside the Yarra, meets Williams Road in South Yarra. So I reckon it's it's kind of behind where Channel 10 is now. Not that that's relevant to Late Show, but yeah, I reckon.
Could be, yeah.
I reckon it's at the Como Park where they shot it. Yeah, I had a bit of an inkling. Yeah.
And the other one is the Esplanade. There's a little bridge.
Yeah, there we go.
Ah.
So obviously they've had to put the ramp in, for reasons.
Yeah, there might not be laws for that in 1993. Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't give a shit about that in 1993. But yeah, I reckon that's it. That's pretty close.
Looks pretty good. Hey, look, the bins are still there.
Yeah.
No
So Como Park, go and pay homage. I didn't see the quit in blue spray paint on the wall anywhere, but
No, not there. Sorry, I'm just zooming in and out.
Yeah, I reckon that's it.
Oh, that's a really good find, Shannon.
And especially the shot. I didn't get a photo of this, but the shot of Alf, which is very, very quick in the clip. It's looking down at there's an oval, like a footy oval, cricket oval behind him, and there's quite a steep embankment before you get to the ground, and I think that's the way. But anyway, something for those at home to play along. Off you go. Yeah, check that out. Como Park.
Yeah. Go through frame by frame on your VHS.
Please do. It will not be a wasted afternoon.
We'll share those images too on Twitter and Facebook. So everything that you've supplied, we will share it. So people will not.
God help you. God help everybody.
And delete your cache afterwards. All right. Now this one, it's a live sketch, and we have, which I think has been written by Santo because he loves his politics, especially I think he's quite Labor-centric. The Labor Party advisors meeting about the tax reform debacle. A lot of this went over my head, but it had all the hallmarks of very early Hollow Men.
Yeah, I was getting shades of that, the market research guy that he plays in the Hollow Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with that jumper.
Yeah. Well, I got a grab for you.
He said, and I quote, "I promise you these tax cuts, it's a LAW law."
Oh.
What a dickhead for saying that.
Yeah, but hang on. Where did he say it? I mean, did he say it in public?
Well, it was broadcast on ABC TV.
Oh, well, then no one would have heard it.
Hang on, he was also addressing... I know, it was a very good point, but...
The only decent joke in that sketch, especially when Judith does the kind of Steve Vizard kind of arm movement. Right?
This seems like more filler to me too. It's just like, what is it, like 2.5, 3 minutes? It's like, what the hell is this sketch? It's just, there's nothing there. It's really strange.
There's a kind of decent satirical point towards the end where they say, well, what are we going to do to distract people? Oh, we'll drag out the Republican issue, get them all talking about the flag, right? And so that's a kind of decent sort of 1993 satirical point. But yeah, it's not a great sketch by any means.
But I thought that the whole thing, I wrote down adorkable. It's kind of like, this thing where Santo writes a sketch and then says, okay, we'll do this one live. And then they start doing it and they go, oh, this is weak as water.
Oh, Santo.
Elements like the cameraman to shut the door behind him and, and the whole thing is like they kind of don't really commit to the joke because they can see that it's kind of failing, so they send themselves up a little bit, and I kind of love that.
And yeah, this sketch just seems to be a vehicle for Rob to stay in the John Hewson makeup, and they must have been tearing their hair out, going, "How are we going to end this sketch? How are we going to end this sketch?" And well, they end the sketch the only way they know how.
We made a pledge to the Australian public. Yeah. This is true. Right? We made a pledge to the Australian public, okay? They trusted us, and I think we have an obligation to honour their trust, okay? I think we have to pass on the tax cuts.
Are you serious?
No, I had my fingers crossed.
Could you get that, mate? Could you get that? Quite frankly, I'd like to state that is clearly champagne comedy.
There we go. They go out on the undeserved applause by mentioning champagne comedy.
Guaranteed to save any bad sketch.
Yeah.
How often have they done like blatantly political sketches like that? I mean, set in the Labor Party office. I think that's quite rare for them, isn't it? Besides like interviews, like with Kennett and Keating and that kind of stuff, but like an actual sketch that's sort of set within, it's quite political. And the fact that, you know, they were all probably lefties and they're having a go at Labor, I mean, that's to be applauded, but it's like, yeah, they really don't do a lot of political based stuff like that.
Well, I'm not surprised because they did it heaps of times in the Degeneration series. So
yes,
it's kind of like a harking back to that. But it's interesting because I think this episode is where they really start to be far more like, what was it, video hits on Channel 10. You know, it was just like punchy stuff all the time and parodies of this, parodies of that. So I actually kind of love seeing them go back to this kind of, you know, undergraduate sketch.
Now that's another bloody word. Like there's cult classic and then there's undergraduate.
It's now time for a pre-recorded sketch, and that is the Winching Bar and Bistro.
Oh, I love this sketch. It inspired me and my friends to start to frequent the Angel Tavern pub in Malvern. When we went there, of course, it was shit house, and there was nothing to do.
Can I ask names, Prue, please?
No.
Oh, okay, damn it. Oh.
But yeah, it was. I loved it because there was a couple of these kind of UK-based pubs in Melbourne in the 90s, and we would sort of want to go to them.
And it's kind of like what the walkabout was when you go to London. To the Aussie themed pubs.
The worst pub in London.
Yeah, exactly.
But did those pubs have this guy?
Oh, shit the jugs on that.
they had the Australian equivalent, definitely.
Yeah.
There was one cool thing which I did grab out of the comment that Tony, like this has got Tony written all over it, by the way.
Yeah.
Because of all the references to Jack from On the Buses or the bloke from Love Thy Neighbour. So for this one grab.
I love half.
That's all I could find.
Can I please pose a question without notice? Is On the Buses, which does appear later on in this episode, is this the biggest cultural touchstone for the members of the D-Generation? What do they reference more than On the Buses?
No, I disagree. I know they reference it a lot. They're constantly referencing the US sort of sitcoms from the 70s. They love the shit out of that. Like
what? Like
those Dukes.
Yeah.
Well, Partridge Family, because obviously Ruben UK.
Yes.
Yeah.
But On the Buses gets so much repetition. It's
mainly
just
from Tony
for
Martin.
them.
Mainly Tony Martin. To be
Tony just wants to
we're
do
about to
that.
see the Muckrakers bring it up in a tick. And they still bloody bring it up. I reckon I saw an episode of Have You Been Paying Attention? That and Tony Martin brought it up then. It's just, is that like their, I mean, what's our Seinfeld or our Simpsons or something? On the Buses, really? Really? That's the one?
How dare you? I mean, you know.
The line I love out of the Winching Prom sketch is see Chaz and Dave as you've never seen them before, entertaining people. Every time I
Plus
see
darts.
that phrase, every time I see that phrase, as you've never seen them before, I have to jump and finish that sentence with entertaining. You've got. I challenge the Prime Minister. I've got entertaining people.
Nice.
I've always been fond of this sketch as well, but I wanted to find out what some actual British people think about this sketch. So I asked my friends Emma, Mike, Tim, and Ben to watch it, and here's what they had to say.
So I've asked you to watch the Winching Pom Bar and Bistro sketch. And as a British person, what do you think of this sketch?
I mean, it's really funny because it wasn't really funny. And I was sitting there thinking, am I just being like, oh, I don't like it because it's about me? But it was more that I didn't think the jokes were that strong. There were a couple of times when I kind of nodded and went, yeah, that's quite funny. But not enough, I think, to really stand up. And I ended up kind of comparing it with the very famous Goodness Gracious Me going for an English sketch. Which is just, for me, just so much funnier and so much better at capturing the real kind of stereotypes of English rather than the stereotypes of the English that aren't actually all that realistic.
God damn it, guys. I mean, Bombay is the restaurant capital of the world, right? So how come every Friday night we end up in this dump?
Because that's what you do, innit? You go out, you get tanked up on lassies and you go for an English. Hello there. Welcome to the traditional English restaurant. My name is James. I shall be your waiter for this evening.
Can't understand a word you're saying.
I thought it was very funny. I thought it was in the tradition of certain sketches which you could pick apart and say, well, that's unfair, that's untrue, but in a weird way, the unfairness and untrueness of it is what's funny. I could possibly take exception to the dig at Chaz and Dave and say Chaz and Dave are brilliant, but having a go at Chaz and Dave is in itself quite funny, I think so. I'm cool with it.
I thought it wasn't particularly funny, but I had no issue with it in the way that I imagine some people might. I mean, the first thing to say is obviously I am from Liverpool, and, you know, the way Liverpool's been parodied over the years, including by people like Carla Lane, who are ostensibly from Liverpool, you know, it's that. I find that inaccuracy, if it's not malicious, quite funny in a way. And at the time as well, you know, we've been doing pretty insulting, I say insulting things about Australians. All that ever happened on British TV with Australians was somebody would come with a cork-rimmed hat and say, "Good day, cobbers." And that was it. And there were terrible, you know, adverts for Castlemaine 4X and Foster's and so on that, you know, were bordering on stereotypes that you can't really call them offensive, but they'd be frowned on now, I think is the best way of putting it. And it was having a decent go back.
It helped very much that I came to it knowing Tony Martin and his obsession again with like his Coronation Street voice that he does. It's always funny. And again, his obsession with things like on the buses. I'm assuming it's Tony who wrote it.
What do you think inspired the sketch?
Probably, is it Tony Martin growing up watching lots of sitcoms like Love Thy Neighbour and On the Buses and that sort of thing?
From what I've gathered from a couple of people I follow on Twitter who post old Australian TV schedules and also being friends with you and other Australian people, you got a lot of British TV, didn't you?
The Winching Pom would be the kind of people who were going on package tours to the Costa, the kind of people that Duty Free was about. But they were kind of really maybe going further afield. And there was that late 80s, early 90s obsession over here with all things Australian, largely down to Neighbours. And there was some quite funny, it's not like in Neighbours. That was quite funny. I thought that was a good line. So I think it was probably a lot of people who thought all of Neighbours was basic, all of Australia was essentially like the Lassiter's complex. And wanted to go to Lassiter's.
Okay, you've been to Australia how many times?
5, I believe.
5 times. And is it anything like Neighbours?
It is exactly like Neighbours in every respect.
That is genuinely the one line which rings the truest. I've not been to Australia, but I do know a few people, and it's nothing like Neighbours is ridiculously spot on as a phrase.
Which part of Britain would I need to go to if I wanted to eat boiled lard?
1973, I think.
Isn't boiled lard just hot fat? I mean, it would.
What did you think of the accents in this sketch?
And I thought they were more sending up, that generic kind of exaggerated, general British way of speaking rather than anything in particular.
It's a bit like when Americans try and do Yorkshire accents, and it's just very weird.
Yeah.
It's not great. But if you're doing an over-the-top parody of a parody of a parody of a Northern accent, it kind of works.
There's a range here. Rob's is definitely the most... definitely the most engaging, shall we say. With obviously his phrase, check the jugs on that. and he's more romper stomper kind of skinhead that he's got at the end. Oh dear. I love it.
What do you think of the Northern accents? Because being from Yorkshire, you're an expert on this. But what are they?
Yeah.
You said they were Manchester accents.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I think that's the thing with being Northern is everyone thinks it's someone else that you're taking the piss out of, basically. So I hear it as a Yorkshire person go, I really got those Mancunians proper, and probably they're thinking the same about us. So it works, oddly, as being sort of nondescript.
Now, what do you think the British equivalent of this sketch is?
I mean... when Neighbours first broke, especially over here, there were a lot of parodies of that.
Oh, hi, Bradley. I just looked in to see if I couldn't have a borrow of your garden sprinkling.
Oh, sure, mate. Help yourself. It's over there in the coolie.
Thanks, mate. By the way, how are Javelina and Trevlin these days?
Jings, mate, don't reopen old wounds.
Was I doing that, Craig? Was I reopening old wounds, old sores?
Certainly were.
Listen, Shane, a word to the wise. If you want to re-establish your relationship with those two, you've got to stop running away from yourself.
I don't know. All I can remember is Frank Skinner's old joke about he heard about the Australian Parliament, and his line was that, I don't know about you, but whenever I picture the Australian Parliament, I imagine at least 2/3 of them are in beach shorts. And I think that's basically, again, British people know that's not true, but it's funny because it has a kernel of truth to it, I think.
Well, there's a whole episode of The Simpsons with that basic premise, isn't there?
Hey, Mr. Prime Minister! Andy!
Aye, mate. What's the good word?
I think making fun of the way that you view people is quite interesting because the joke is more on you. I wonder if that was the joke with the Winching Pom, that it was more their kind of taking the piss out of the way that they view the British, as well as taking the piss out of the British themselves.
I mean, this sketch reminded me the most of the bits in Frasier where Daphne goes to the English pub she frequents. And it's the bloke who was from the Sierra for robbing the show will say, "Cool, blimey, we'll play Shove Halfpenny," before Frasier comes in and interrupts us. And, it's just like that, really. It's...
As you're a Londoner, you might be able to help us out with something on our podcast. One of my fellow podcasters, Daniel, he likes to impersonate Linda Robson and Pauline Quirk calling their neighbour Dorian in Birds of a Feather a dirty cow.
Dirty cat.
Exactly, right? And being an Australian man, he's maybe not so great at saying dirty cow in a London accent, right? So what would you say to someone starting out saying dirty cow in a London accent? What are your top tips for this?
I mean, to be honest, now, and pedantic,
pedantry.
Linda Robson
beautiful.
and Pauline Quirk are not doing this in a London accent. They're doing it in an Essex accent. And there's not really that much difference, but there is a real genuine. So if you're from South London, you're going to be a bit more nasal. Your London accent tends to come through the nose, and it's a bit nasal. So you're a dirty cat. Like that. If you're from North London, your accent comes from the chest.
North.
And you speak like that. And the genuine difference between North and South London, and people who listen can hear it, and people who can't hear it think I'm mental. But how you would say it where I grew up, first of all, dirty. So the T is almost not there at all. Dirty. 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 So almost like you say dirty.
Right, okay. Dirty.
Dirty. And then care. So you've got care. Your vowels get really long. Dirty care. And again, the W is more like an H.
So, okay, and the Essex accent, how is that different to North London?
Well, it's like an extension of North London. So it's maybe a little bit more... so women in particular from Essex might have a little bit more high pitch than women in London. Anyone who's watched the recent wonderful and very realistic documentary Married at First Sight UK will have been aware of Meghan, who had the classic Essex
A dolphin?
where she would laugh through her nose but talk through her chest, but she sort of combines a north and a south.
Okay, so in conclusion, and I'm going to try this out here. Dirty care. Is that right?
Good.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's a proper Hackney dirty cat.
Fantastic.
Yay!
Well done, Alison.
So were you actually at the pub when you asked them these questions?
We were on video calls as we are now. So anyway, I hope this is helpful to you, Daniel, and you can dirty cat it right up.
So I found that a bit. That was amazing. Like, I found that one of the things that they didn't understand about that sketch was not so much the tourist, but the 10-pound pom immigrant. You know, that's what it's about. It's about people who came over here for a friggin' song. Like, what was 10 pound? It was nothing. They came over here for a new life. And then, you know, it's 42 degrees.
The handkerchief on the head. That's the giveaway. That's the giveaway. Yeah.
All right, go, Daniel. How do you do it?
Go on.
So more nasal, drop the T, and basically Dorian's a bit of a dirty cat.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well
Cat.
There's an H in there somewhere too.
I sound like a bloody alarm.
That's kind of it, yeah.
Well, thank you for your investigative work, Alison.
Yeah, thank you for your...
That's all right.
That. You did ask them to critique the whinging pom and not actually be whinging poms, but apart from that,
It went full circle though. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought they were very decent about the whole thing, and they're still friends with me, which is great. So thank you once again to Emma, Mike, Tim, and Ben.
Yeah, well done. Thank you.
This sketch is on YouTube, and I think everyone should go and check out the comments on this sketch because it gets very bizarre very, very quickly, like most YouTube comments, to be honest. But it starts off sort of like, oh, yeah, haha, I know poms like this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then it starts talking about Aussies who are backpacking to London and taking jobs. You know, like bartending jobs. So then it's about capitalism, and then it's about colonialism, and then it somehow ends up talking about the suicide rates of the different countries. It's just what is going on? No, I'm dead serious. Go and check it out on YouTube. It's hilarious. It's pretty sad actually, but like most YouTube comments, but it's well worth checking out.
After the Winching Pom Bar and Bistro, we've got muckraking, and it's been a while since we had Mick and Jace together. And straight up, what do they do?
That's easy. We just wanted to do that.
They had to get it out of their system.
Yeah.
Because there weren't enough references in the episode.
And then Mick issues a challenge that if the other people do a good Blakey, he'll come on next week and sing the Rosebud Bette Midler.
Oh, God.
I don't know what his obsession with that song is. I'm pretty sure he got to actually sing that song when he was on Martin Malloy.
I think he did.
Somebody post that, please.
Oh, that rings a bell.
It's lodged somewhere in the back of my mind or on one of the cassettes that I haven't listened to in decades.
Does that mean that all of the cast of the Late Show had finally done their Blakeys? Because in this episode, only Tony does a Blakey.
Well, Jason,
apart from Mick.
Jason did one to fill in time in season 1 towards the end, during the credit roll when they usually go, oh, best album covers, and they go, oh, Jace does a good Blakey.
right.
So that was the first time, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for you, but you'll notice that Mick wasn't on singing duties in the next episode.
There you go. All right, but they do talk about TV Week and all the lovey-dovey covers, which I don't have the image, but I found the actual cover, which I'll tweet out later on.
Hey, Dads, Rachel and Ben reveal our special love.
And so, yeah, Mick and Jace do their own version of Special Love because they feature on a future issue of TV Week. But I just want to point out the little headlines, which were part of their mock cover, which had Daryl Summers, I really can't play the drums.
So he probably saw that. That's why he made that little dig at Rob without the 5 minutes worth of content on the Late Show video.
Ian Hewitson eats producer. Tommy G talks about the piffy years. And win a trip to visit the set of Family Feud and speak to the bloke who gets to survey all those people.
That's quite good.
Mick does read a quote.
Initially, the strength of our relationship raised a few eyebrows within the group, but now everyone seems to understand. In fact, Tommy and Rob have been quite supportive. Although Tony's a bit jealous, I suppose it's all that time we spend doing the intro, but he's learning to deal with it now. In fact, I think he's trying to crack onto Santo. No, that's pretty much as we told him, isn't it? It is.
Love is beautiful, adds Mick.
It does lead into a montage to the song "Wind Beneath My Wings."
Yeah,
Again, this really feels like more filler. It feels like so much more filler. It's like muckraking. Can you throw something together for like 4 minutes? It's like far out. It's really thin what they're doing. Although Alf Camilleri producing all the TV Week stuff, is impressive. But far out. There's not much there.
And that montage is slowed down, which means it takes up double the time. there's a little bit of actual footage, like you see one of them, smashing the table over Dr. Aaron Beaucair's head, which we've seen before. There's some bits which have been specially filmed for the piece, like Mick warming his hands over Jason's ass while he's kicking his legs up in some sort of a bicycle position. And then even more bizarre footage, which is of Mick and Jace on the season 1 set with sheep walking through, which we never actually saw in the series, but must have been taped for something. And they must have gone, we'll drag it out for this bit of filler.
It's so bizarre. It had been just sitting there for an entire year.
Yeah, I wonder what it must have originally been for. The mind boggles.
Hey, old mate's back.
Charlie, we love you.
Charlie the Wonder Dog, and it is Love Thy Neighbour continued, and the story so far, which they do a quick little montage.
You pesky kids!
I'm sorry, bad old Mrs. O'Grady, but if the payment isn't made by Monday, we are repossessing the farm. What's all this about?
The bank's taking bad old Mrs. O'Grady's farm back, and she's going to leave forever.
That sums it up.
I love the hard cuts.
Yeah.
For mine, it's the fact that they always call her bad old Mrs. O'Grady.
Yeah, it's such a mouthful.
Yeah. Until the turning point. Then there's a turning point, and then she's nice, Mrs. O'Grady, or whatever.
Yeah. But this is pretty much that they're trying to do their thing. They don't like her, and then it turns out that she owes money, and the bank decides to sell the land, and they end up doing a bit of a fundraiser, all thanks to Charlie.
Charlie the star.
Yeah, they're gonna sell bad old Mrs. O'Grady's farm to the golf course developer, and they don't want to do that. So they raise the money, and then the bank manager, who's wearing a very, very tiny hat, tries to steal all the money that they've raised. But Charlie gets the money back from the bank manager, and Mrs. O'Grady's farm is saved. Hooray! And then the final shot, of course, Charlie wearing a bigger hat.
Oh,
he's the
Charlie.
bank manager now. Ha 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 ha.
He's trying to cheer us up with one of his elaborate tricks.
He's just sitting there.
And the classic something unforeseen.
Yeah, what's that? It's something unforeseen. Yeah, along with that classic da da da.
Yeah.
Flimsy anecdotal connection to this episode number 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to talk about Bud. For those sort of unenlightened few who don't know anything about the Bistro Project, it started as a community TV show back in 2006, 2008, which was essentially a film geek show with jokes, essentially. And we opened every show with a pastiche of a film. And one episode we did in 2008, we did Plan 9 from Outer Space, the famously bad science fiction film. And Plan 9 opens with an introduction from Criswell, who was a popular television psychic of the time, sort of thing. And Criswell and Tingwell was just too perfect not to do.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here. And now, for the first time, we are bringing to you the full story of what happened on that fateful day. We are giving you all the evidence based only on the secret testimony of the miserable souls who survived this terrifying ordeal. The incidents, the places. My friend, we cannot keep this a secret any longer. Let us punish the guilty. Let us reward the innocent. My friend, can your heart stand the shocking facts about grave robbers from outer space?
That's a setup to Plan 9 from Outer Space. So yeah, I thought Criswell and Tingwell, that was too good to not to pass up. So we tracked Bud down, and he somehow said yes. And truly, seeing Bud say those lines, and remember, my friends, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future. For that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friends, future events such as these will affect you in the future. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here. And now, for the first time, we are bringing to you the full story of what happened on that fateful day. We are giving you all the evidence, based only on the secret testimonies of the miserable souls who survived this terrifying ordeal. The incidents, the places, my friend, we cannot keep this a secret any longer. Let us punish the guilty. Let us reward the innocent. My friend, can your heart stand the shocking facts about the Bistro Project from outer space?
Fuck, that's good.
Oh, seriously.
Well
Let us
done.
punish the guilty.
Well done.
Yeah, let us reward the innocent. Yeah, that is, I mean, we did some crazy, dumb shit in our openings, but that's my favorite opening we ever did. And it's watching that makes me so happy. It's just, and we interviewed him as well. And he was awesome. He's awesome to see perform, just doing like even something so dumb like that. He was and awesome to chat to. It was fantastic. I can't say enough about the guy. He was just so good.
Credit to you, man. Credit to you.
Oh no, it was a massive thrill. It was a massive thrill.
Now we have Street Talk, and we have Mick and Tony hitting the streets to find the new Liberal Party leader. Was it this part of the more bits on DVD?
Yes, I
Yeah.
reckon it was. No, I reckon because I did some more homework on the last week to try and find a lot of this. Yes, I think it is more bits. Some more bits or best or
Yeah.
What's the other extra bits or something?
Yeah, extra something like that. Yeah, because especially of the guy.
I hate that.
Oh, there's a few people in this episode who think they're really funny.
Yeah.
There's like three people who think, oh yeah, I can go toe to toe with Tony and Mick. It's like there's the ice cream girl and there's the fireman and then there's Alan. It's just
Transport.
Mick shuts them down pretty quick. Yeah, people want to think they're pretty funny, and it's not going to happen here, buddy. Yeah.
It's almost like Street Talk in Melbourne Jump the Shark or something. It's like they're too
Oh,
nice.
maybe.
And
Kind of like Chaser style,
Yeah.
where they became too aware of everything. So,
Yeah.
but I will play this one.
Would you be a sort of a ruthless, iron-fisted leader?
Yes, you would. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Yes, yes.
You're not Senator Bronwyn Bishop, are you?
Why, what's wrong with Bronwyn Bishop?
Nothing. She's an absolute hornbag.
Have to be joking.
What reaction was priceless.
Yeah, I think that was so funny. I know, as Prue said, it kind of jumped the shark a little bit, but when I realised this actually existed, because I almost forgot about it, I actually found some bits really laugh out loud funny. I know there are some really dull bits, but the Eeyore, like that's something I used to do when I used to like record people with my video camera and they said something stupid. I would just repeat that quote over and over again, just to make it sound really ridiculous. So I quite enjoyed that because I related to it as a immature 16-year-old at the time. But it's not one of their best, but it does have its moments.
But they did wrap it up beautifully with the Benny Hill gag.
Well, yes, flimsy anecdotal connection to this episode number 4.
This.
Best Bits DVD commentary. Tony mentions how to properly do a Benny Hill chase sequence. You have to wave your arms around a lot, and I can confirm this to be true because on the Brazil Project's ABC show, we did a Benny Hill chase.
And the winner is Quaint Repressed Western Attitudes. Wait, that's not right.
I can also confirm that you sort of have to do it in slow motion, sort of at half speed, because then all your movements look really exaggerated when it's sped up, and it looks a lot funnier. But I can also confirm that it's as completely exploitative and fun as it looks. It's really, really silly. Yes.
Well done, man. That looked like it was a lot of fun to film.
Oh, that was yeah. Like Tony says, it was a highlight for him to do a Benny Hill chase. Yes, absolutely, I agree. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, but it's very fun.
It's letter time, and they just respond to a bunch of letters that have been written in. Some fake, some. Well, I think one was real, which was from Paul Henderson from Wynnum Heights, saying that the worst job in Australia was the Paradise Beach dialogue coach.
True.
And the bloke freely admits it. John Dommett freely admits it.
And that's another strike for the Bill Kelty hairdresser joke.
Yeah.
Just quickly speaking of Paradise Beach, it's about to get shifted from 5:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Sort of around late July, early August, 93, to be replaced by about 5 weeks of Grand Canyon's home video show.
Oh, wow. What a shaft.
Wow. Yeah, that's harsh.
This is also the episode where, who is it? We can thank Michelle Markin from Goldman setting in the cover of Mr. Mister, where it reveals that Mr. Mister looked like Rob Sitch.
This starts off a whole segment, an ongoing segment of Late Show lookalikes, which are to come in future weeks.
I was just going to say, so when they said Michelle Markin, because someone on Twitter back in 2014 tweeted the @TLS campaign, and her name was Michelle Mackey1, and she said she was the one who sent in the Mr. Mister album cover to the
wow.
Thank you, Michelle. All right.
She sent in her very own vinyl copy of Welcome to the Real World, featuring the hits Broken Wings and Kyrie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and who actually made those marks with the arrows?
Yeah, so Rob reads out a letter from a kid, Luke Barber, asking what computer they write on, and so they realise that, yeah, that's what this whole Late Show fan mail is about, so they go over there and destroy his computer.
Yeah, he upgraded from a 286 to a 386. So
I haven't heard those. I haven't heard those terms in a long time. The 386. Oh.
MS-DOS.
I had a 486 DX4 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Advanced.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With
Not one of those, sleek Whitang WX, whatever the number was from last episode.
And then
the one with 7 digits,
something like that.
And yeah, it's not a good episode for CRT computer monitors, is it? Because we've had 2 destroyed so far in this episode.
Now we've got Judith, who is reading out S. Briggs' letter and talking about why their grandparents' house smells.
It's the smell of chops, mothballs, and that imminent smell of death.
But that's when it leads into a sketch with Jane and Tom, with Rob, Santo, and Judith just illustrating the points for it, where this is how you know that you're old. When you start, and this is where Santo shines because he is the oldest of the team.
Yeah.
And yeah, they explain as you get older, things come into perspective.
Geez, it's bucketing down out there.
Oh, it's absolutely pouring.
Still, it's good for the garden.
It's a very Tommy G sketch, isn't it? It's a very dinner party sketch, and it's just it's the same type of thing.
The other clue it's a Tommy G sketch is the endless digs at Adelaide, of course, my hometown of Daniel's place of residence.
Current town, yes. You escaped, Alison.
I did escape, and wasn't it worthwhile?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason why there's a disproportionate amount of Adelaide people on this podcast. What else could you do?
We want to get revenge. We want to get revenge on the Adelaide jokes. That's why we're here.
2 weeks on Great Keppel Island.
Oh, Club Med in Bali.
Oh, Adelaide, the city of churches.
Double take, so amazing.
I love it how he did it about 3 or 4 times, but the wrong camera was on him. We missed some gold.
Just keep going. Yeah.
Adelaide's great though, you can go to the wineries, there's opals, all these great things you can do. I'm not selling it, am I?
I like wineries.
Oh, well. And there was also choosing a new car, and Santa's going, hey, Mazdas are good. There was also, that's when they lead into the whole room that was the good room or the lounge room, and they just go through a display thing. I thought it was just pretty straightforward sketch. Wasn't that big laughs or anything.
Like a dinner party sketch, I think they should have made it go longer. They should have made it its own thing rather than sort of lead on from the fan mail. It's just, why didn't you write a proper sketch with people sitting in a lounge room, a mock lounge room? It's weird. It's like, shit, we're struggling for time. I really think it feels like more filler to me. It's just like, far out, we've got to fill an hour. Yeah.
And of course, it's most punchiest punchline was big undies. I mean, it's not exactly groundbreaking comedy.
Yeah. It's time for toilet break. Act 3, Christopher Lopes.
I ain't missing you at all. Since you've been gone away, I ain't missing you.
He tried so much.
Oh man! If I hadn't have watched this tonight, it would never have re-entered my brain. Right? It's just something I forget about. But then it's like it isn't. It shouldn't be that unforgivable because it's excruciating. This poor kid.
Oh.
I mean, for once, Bernard is 100% spot on. This song is completely wrong for this little man. He obviously has a bit of talent. He loves finding the camera. He's got these the moves going. And then he just demolishes this song. It's terrible.
Well, here's Bernard's response.
I would suspect that you actually didn't rehearse this music.
Yes, I have been.
This
kid's
about to cry, seriously. And you forgot everything you were told the moment you stepped on that stage. To me, the key was far too low for you. Surely your register is more comfortable a couple of notes up, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, your teacher didn't set that key, surely.
She said it would be a good number for me to sing.
No, it's not.
Yes? It's an awful number for a child to sing, but go on.
Yeah.
I totally disagree with your teacher, and if you genuinely rehearsed this number with your teacher in that key, I would not only join a choir, but I'd change teachers immediately. You didn't do very well today, young man. 15.
Oh, painful.
Do you know what? When you're judging children in talent competitions, that's not really how you should do it. You should be a bit kinder. I think he was very, very harsh on this kid. He wasn't that bad.
I don't think Bernard could have gone there. You could have smiled more, Root.
No, I mean,
I wholeheartedly agree that a song about missing somebody in a relationship is entirely inappropriate. I'm reminded of that bit by Billy Connolly upon seeing Young Talent Time. Talking about the inappropriateness of little kids singing "I'm Gonna Love You All Night Long." I'm also reminded of there was also in the early '80s there was a thing in the UK called the Mini Pops, which was a similar sort of thing, which was little kids singing songs performed by adults with absolutely no sort of sanitization. There's also a similar sort of thing in the US nowadays called Kids Bop, but at least they sanitize the pop kids sing within that. In that instance. But singing, missing when you're somewhere between 12 and 13.
I think it's quite endemic of potluck, isn't it? That they have, every time they get like a really young kid on, they're always singing something inappropriate, I think.
Oh, definitely. Speaking of inappropriateness, what's the scores so far?
Yeah, what are the scores?
Yeah, okay. So out of the 7 acts we've seen that Bernard has given points to, Christopher Lopez is either equal 5th best or equal 2nd worst, depending on how you want to look at it.
I don't think we've actually determined the scale, whether best or worst means the opposite of what we want it to be.
So, at number 7 on 10 points, we've got Krista Cruel, who absolutely murdered You Keep Me Hanging On. Equal 5th, we've got Christopher Lopez and also David Ty, who sang John Farnham's Pressure Down. In 4th place, the Nelligan Sisters, who sang Madonna's True Blue. At 3rd on 20 points, the Spangles singing Venus, another inappropriate for kids song.
Yes.
On 2nd place with 34 points, Alan and Brenda with the Cabaret Stylings singing Rockabye Your Baby with the Dixie Melody. And at 1st place on 40 points, Piffy on the Bells.
Yay, Piffy. All right, it's time for Graham and the Colonel.
No spoilers.
Yes, you are the offspring. Wait, hold on. Was that Little Lieutenant?
The Little Lieutenant.
Yeah, the Little
Lieutenant. Little Lieutenant's all grown up.
Mate, that's an impressive setup you have. Look, God, now you're looking Richie Benno, like even more Richie Benno than Graham and the Colonel.
Where's my book? Yes.
Yeah, where's your World Book Encyclopedia?
Oh.
Yes, the Graham and the Colonel World Book Encyclopedia. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Don't forget to fall off the chair.
But one that is no doubt contained in Graham and the Colonel's World Book Encyclopedia.
Sorry.
Come on, Colonel.
And that's the biggest laugh of the segment, folks.
It's a flat Graham and the Colonel, even by Graham and the Colonel standards.
Santa really hurt himself, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's still
Good recovery,
like a
though.
trooper, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Rob's face stays very still. It's almost like, is it fine?
As you're saying, yeah, it is a flat Graham and the Colonel because they had the Maroney family swimming the English Channel. Then they went into the cone of silence, a la Get Smart. So I'm guessing when they did a press report or whatever, they're saying there's a secret in their training or something like that.
Yeah.
Greg Norman in the British Open and his fashion sense, especially when the lady yells out to him.
Oh, Mr. Hart, what a mess!
That's got to be up there with On the Buses.
Yeah.
That and the little fat kid from Hey Dad. I think they're the three big ones.
Yeah. So it wasn't really a strong one. I don't know what else to point out with this one.
Well, the Michelle Grattan stuff, Michelle Grattan's
that's
contact lenses.
Wow.
Yeah, with the marbles.
Bad taste.
Yeah.
But I did like the comments around the cone of silence, which was, it's So that's an interesting fact that the audience may discover on the way home, you know.
Yeah.
And then Santo goes, I think some of them are already on their way home.
But other than that, I really don't have much to report on Graham and the Colonel other than jokes that really fell flat.
Oh.
And they knew it. So after Graham and the Colonel, we have the closing time period thing. And Tony talks about how the jokes were flat in regards to Graham and the Colonel. So it's not just us critiquing. They admit that it was pretty bad. And they blame Tommy G on it because, you know, he was the one that might have been his fault because he was doing all the warm-ups.
Again, this is like a lot like the opening sort of segment. This is a lot of work. I mean, Tommy G had to go to 2 different studios to do this bit. And that's it's a lot of work for something that's like, what, 90 seconds long? It's like really short. What are you doing? Yeah, God, stretch it out if you're going to go all that way.
But I'm thinking about this, isn't this a really rare example of a show that crosses over and goes into these different networks? Like, does that
Yes,
even happen
definitely.
today? Like, they really had a sort of an in everywhere.
Yeah, no, good point. Yeah.
Well, the clip of when Tommy G is wearing his gold jacket and goes to Sale of the Century is on the best bits. So that's part of the compilation.
And really, that's the only sort of highlight. So seeing Tommy go off, there's a few beeps that are sort of put over what seem to be fairly innocent when you think about it. And yeah, just seeing that concerned look on Pete Smith's face as they pan across back to the audience.
Yeah, and
it just makes it.
The death stare that Pete Smith gives prior to that is hilarious as well.
Yeah.
Pete Smith always knows where the camera is. Always.
And there's also the one when Tony Barber was hosting Jeopardy and Tommy just has a go at Tony for his joke. So, yeah.
Another show that's not long for this world either. That's only got roughly another month or so left, and then that gets replaced by Simpsons repeats.
Nothing wrong with that.
Harsh.
But other than that, we have the musical finale, and Mick does phone it in.
Sorry about this. Hello? Mickey, aren't you supposed to be here at the pub? Right, you couldn't wait. Yeah, what? Do I have to? Oh, okay. I'll get you, butler. Sorry.
Insane. Now, Mick doesn't appear on screen since, like, Muckrakers, which is in, like, the middle of the episode. So, yeah, Mick has genuinely left and gone somewhere.
Yeah.
I reckon so.
Yeah, so the Winching Pom.
That's very, very possible.
Where else?
Yeah, so after Muckraking, gone after Charlie, or at the beginning of Charlie and the Wonder Dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's very strange.
Could have had a family wedding. Who knows?
Who knows?
At 10:30 at night?
Mick did get, well, he was meant to get REM, but he ends up getting Norman Yem singing Losing My Religion.
That's me in the corner. That's me in the spot that I losing my religion.
I think they probably could have given some context to who Norman Yem was. I think.
Yeah.
I was like, who are you?
Yeah.
Maybe
I had no hope of knowing who this guy was.
Yeah, maybe sort of, 10, 15 years earlier, sort of, okay, but who the hell is this guy?
Yeah,
Christ.
the demographic was.
But actually, when I look him up today, he's quite a fascinating character. Like, he was in the theatre, he was in the opera, but he was also a sportsman. Like, he ran the stall gift and...
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Wow.
Because he was probably well known to that older DGen audience that kind of watched the Sullivans. And
Yeah.
it was just us in high school that had no effing idea.
Well, I was going to say, it tends to be a lot of those actors and talent are from Division 4, Homicide, Number 96, Sullivan's, A Country Practice, like early days of it all. So if you're not sure, I'm sure they've appeared in one of those shows in the Crawford production.
Now, also on the DVD commentary, they mentioned that Norman wanted to sing his own song. They didn't say specifically what the song was, except that it was by Madonna and that it was something about playgrounds, which makes me think it might have been the song from A League of Their Own, This
Yeah.
Used to Be My Playground, is like, you think being sung by a little kid was inappropriate.
Yeah, what would
Yes.
Bernard King say?
Naught. Talent.
I'd forgotten about that commentary
Yeah.
bit, but it's kind of interesting now because I think Norman Yem doesn't nail this song particularly well, and for a professional singer, that actually would be pretty damaging to his brand. So, if I was his manager, I would say, don't do that.
Would he
Change
have a
his singing
manager at this
teacher.
stage of his career? Yeah. I don't think he had one.
It's a good thing that the audience started clapping along to the song halfway through to sort of like they were cheering him on almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so after the musical finale, we got the credits. Was there any Easter eggs, Daniel?
Nothing particularly special. The special guests were all credited: Tony Barber, Gabriel Gatte, Charles Bud Tingwell, but in quotation marks instead of brackets, as all good pedants know.
Yep.
And Norman Yem, as well as Bev Dunn, the Pissweek Kids, Arthur Spanos, Isadora Van Camp, James Wright, and Denise Foster.
But not Tony Llewellyn-Jones from GP, which is interesting. He's not credited at all. I suppose he's in the opening titles of GP, but...
There is a general thanks to GP, along with Bruce Best, Michael White, and Eden on the Park.
Oh,
interesting.
That is a daggy, crappy hotel, actually, near Albert Park Place. I'd stay there.
3 stars.
Now, a flimsy anecdotal connection to this episode number 5. We're up to
Oh, lovely. Bring it on home, Shannon.
the third assistant director on this episode was someone called Shelley Austin. Now, she was the production manager on the Bizarre Project's ABC show. Shelley Austin worked on Mad as Hell. She worked on Leno and Woodley. I'm not sure if she's still at the ABC, but anyway, there's a very, as I said, flimsy anecdotal connection to this episode.
Excellent.
Now, the flimsier the better. We like that.
Okay. We've got one more flimsy to go.
And yeah, the audience solicit, where they were obviously trying to get the audience tickets going, and that was Graham and the Colonel going under the cone of silence, just simply holding up a cue card. But yeah, that was pretty much it. But that is the end of that episode, really.
Except for the final flimsy anecdotal connection to this episode, number 6. In 1990, it's either 95 or 96, I was at, for some godforsaken reason, a very large, very fancy VRC dinner, like Victorian Racing Club dinner, okay? And there were it was like a fancy ballroom layout, like a year 12 formal, your tables of 10 or whatever, and Rob and Jane were there on a different table, obviously. But on every table, they had helium balloons. Now, can everyone see where I'm going with this? So my brother and I went over to Rob and Jane's table with helium balloons, and we inhaled the gas. And what did we say?
Are you sure you filled it with the right gas, Mick?
Correct. So Jane laughed, and I remember Rob looking very confused about what the hell are these guys doing. But later he delivered a note to my table, which I still have, and this is it here. So obviously it was at the Hilton, I guess, okay. But it says, for those playing at home, Shannon, I had a dog called Shannon, just thought you should know, Mike Moore.
Oh, Mike Moore.
This was like, a frontline era. So what was it? Yeah, 95, 96. So it was between, what's that, like season 2, 3, I guess, of Frontline? Yes. So there we go.
That's cool.
Cool. So who else has got Mike Moore's autograph? Who has got Mike?
Yes, I do. And I do have a picture of myself and Jane and Rob from this dinner, but I'm moving house at the moment, and I've got everything's in fucking boxes, so I don't know where it is. But anyway, maybe I'll find it and eventually, and I'll post it. So, but yes, there we go. There's all my anecdote connections to this episode.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Shannon.
Wow.
That's awesome. All right, well, that actually wraps up season 2, episode 8 of The Late Show, and also episode 28 of the Champagne Comedy Podcast. Oh, this has been a big one. So don't forget to enter our competitions as well as reach out to us for feedback or whatever. We'll tend to ignore it if it's negative. But email champagnelateshow@gmail.com. Twitter at TLS Champagne, champagnecomedy.com, Facebook, The Late Show page, and also search for the Champagne Comedy Podcast group on Facebook. Answer the 3 questions and you're in. And now also, don't forget to download. What podcast should they also get to out there, Shannon? Hint, hint.
Oh, I forget. It's been so long. Yes, the Basura Project's Radio Free Cinema. Yes, there's plenty of alleged joy to be had.
Honestly, thank you so much for providing a lot of stuff to this, and it was great to share those stories that you have shared. So, and looking forward to.
I don't think we've had a guest come in with so many clips.
Yeah.
You mean so much bullshit? So much needless
bullshit.
drivel. Okay.
That's what
Thank
we're
you.
here to be.
Yes.
All needless drivel.
Hey,
Thank you for tolerating me.
no, thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Alison, Daniel, Kim, and Prue for coming back on. So, hooray.
Yeah.
My name is Matt. Thanks for listening. Listen to our other podcast episodes and stuff. So this is the Champagne Comedy Podcast. Have a great time. Enjoy. If you're not in lockdown or whatever, your freedom. That's date the episode. See ya.
Oh, shit, the jug's on that.
Thank you for listening to the Champagne Comedy Podcast, created by fans for the fans. For more information on this podcast, please visit champagnecomedy.com. Produced by Matt Fulton Productions, mattfulton.com.au.